This is IGN. Series OGs Kevin Williamson and Neve Campbell return for plenty of satisfying slasher action, even if the film gets a little too comfortable for its own good. This is your IGN review of Scream 7 by Tom Jorgensen. Burn it all down. For a tagline so front and center of Paramount's marketing for Scream 7, it has very little relationship to the actual ethos of the movie. Instead, Scream 7 feels like a return to roots for the venerable meta-slasher franchise, far more interested in and effective at propping up the more playful tone of Scream's early days than the increasingly deconstructive tendencies of the 4th, 5th, and 6th entries. It succeeds as another back-to-basics reset for Scream, but ironically for a story centered on how much a mother will let her trauma affect her daughter, living in the past in order to drive a franchise reset does keep Scream 7 from having an identity of its own. The two radio silence-directed installments which precede Scream 7 felt like very intentional attempts to recontextualize the franchise into a more modern sensibility, something really hammered home by Scream 6's move to a bustling New York City. Kevin Williamson takes over directing and writing duties for Scream 7, the latter shared with Scream 5 and 6 co-writer Guy Busick, and though he wrote the first, second, and fourth films in the franchise, it represents his first time in the director's chair on a Scream movie, and his first time directing a film since 1999's Teaching Mrs. Tingle. Williamson's approach veers hard back into more old-fashioned Scream territory, something communicated quickly by the opening scene set at the house of Stu Macher, the co-killer of the original Scream. Stu's house is now being used as a psycho killer B&B, decorated with chalk cutouts of the various victims and killers who have died there, posters from the Stab movies, and even a motion-activated ghost face, which you can be damn sure is going to get used to some spine-tingly ends. That sequence may end with Stu's house in flames, but as the rest of Scream 7 plainly demonstrates, some foundations are just unshakable. That idea persists through Williamson's choice to move the action back to a small town, not Woodsboro this time, but Pine Grove, Indiana. Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, has put down roots there with her police chief husband Mark, played by Joel McHale, and kids Tatum, played by Isabel May, and the two younger ones conveniently visiting Mark's parents out of town the week all the murder stuff kicks off. Neve Campbell's return as Sidney is a constant highlight of Scream 7. Campbell takes the comfort and confidence that comes with playing a character for 30 years and translates it into a performance that shifts believably from dead serious to tongue-in-cheek and back, often within the same scene, but never in a way that rings false or tonally out of step with her circumstances. Sidney has to balance the normal anxieties of being parent to a teenager with how her bloody backstory is antagonizing her relationship with Tatum as news of the murders at Stu's house reach them in Pine Grove. Even though much of how Scream 7 goes on to dig up the bones of the first movie winds up being to its detriment, Campbell's performance as Sidney benefits from the constant resurfacing of the Woodsboro murders. It's as if Kevin Williamson saw how hard David Gordon Green threw the killing machine lever in one direction for Laurie Strode in the recent Halloween sequels and said, "I like it, but maybe 80% less." Scream 7 might be a little light on the deeper genre commentary that made the series famous, but as for how it functions as a pure slasher, the thing ticks like a clock. Williamson has a great sense of rhythm for building up, paying off, and cooling down from tension, which gives Scream 7 a lively pace that keeps many of its shortcomings from lingering long enough to feel fatal. The director has a clear affinity for the operatic when it comes to staging Ghostface kills, with a number of these sequences culminating in memorably grotesque tableaus. An early attack on one of Tatum's friends, leaving her dead body suspended above a stage, a long shot of a knife going through one character's skull just long enough to really give you a secondhand migraine, and a kill involving a beer tap that feels like an instant classic moment for the series, all point towards Williamson having put a lot of care into crafting each and every Ghostface encounter, even if one or two end a little too abruptly for their own good. Scream 7 packs in plenty of satisfying slasher action, and may even bring some lapsed fans back into the fold by focusing down the scope of that action after Scream 6. But the new ideas it does bring to the table are either too thin to fully explore, or ill-advised enough to detract from the success the movie does find in playing the hits, the deep cuts, and the killer tracks. Scream 7's IGN score? 6 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcasts through the podcast service of your choice.